Thank you, David. Couldn't have been a better setup for what we're going to talk about next, because we are going to talk about sustainability today. And I really do believe that this is just so incredibly vital to our efforts to sustain the core and to really strengthen the core. And I believe it's important, and I also believe that it's really urgent. And sustainability is one of those words that's really evolved in our industry lexicon. It's been kind of going green, like being green, which is a good thing, right? But as David said, it's really much, much bigger than that. After all, we want everything good, everything that we value to be sustainable. Sustainable profitability, that's even so foundational to us that it's one of the pillars of our True Blue house. And our culture says that if we want to be sustainable, we need to really focus on our values. That's what our culture requires. So the word sustainability means so much more than being green. It really means being responsible, and it means being accountable. So what this really means, what we're talking about today, is that we need to become stewards of the triple bottom line. We need to be stewards of our people, we need to be stewards of our profit, and we need to be stewards of our planet. And I would say that right now we do a pretty good job of the double bottom line. We look at our people and we look at our profit. So for instance, if we're looking at an opportunity, a decision that we think is going to positively affect our profit, we also consider how is it going to affect our people, because we don't want to just do something for profit that's going to hurt our people. We don't want to do that. And our values say we need to care for our people, we need to care for our clients, we need to care for our partners, we need to care for our communities at large. That's what we say in our values. And then, profitability. Well, we all get the importance of sustainable profitability. As Tommy said today, we could do all these things, and if we don't have profit at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. And I'll give Joe a plug. He's got Dollars for Donuts tomorrow morning that he's going to be hosting at the Omni. We know we have sustainable profitability covered. And Joe would be the first to say that sustainable profitability is rooted in the notion of making sure that we're doing well while we're doing good. And that's really where that third bottom line comes in, of the planet. So in our manifesto, we declare our intention to advance society and to elevate the human experience. So it just goes without saying, but I'll say it, is that we need to be mindful of not causing harm. And this really needs to extend to the environment. We are a company whose entire viability is on trust. It's with our clients whose view of sustainability needs to be in our ability to inspire confidence and goodwill with our clients in the communities in which we serve. So it's just doing well by doing good. So in a few minutes, I'm going to invite Martha May and Bobby Caldwell and Dan Hoffman to the stage. In a few minutes, we're going to talk more about the people and the profitability aspects of sustainability. But right now, we're going to just spend a little bit more time talking about that third bottom line. We're going to talk about good old Mother Earth, because I think we would all agree that we have a gap here. Now, that having been said, I'm extremely proud of what Jeff Chase, where's Jeff? Wave. What Jeff Chase and Joe Pesca and the team have done the past 5 years regarding environmental sustainability. They've helped us achieve ISO certification. We have a green toolkit that we use with our clients when they ask us to perform those services on their accounts. And then we have volunteer teams across the globe who are doing amazing things because it's their passion, something that they've stepped up to do. But for most of us, this is something that we do when our clients ask us to do it, or it's something that we do when we think that we can afford to make a change in how we produce things, for instance. So I would say at best, our current approach is that a few people focus on what we should do when we're asked to do that. But at worst, it's perhaps an afterthought, and maybe perhaps even a burden in some regards. And that's just not good enough. That's not good enough for Freeman. That's not who we are. So this is really the idea that we need to expand our thinking that sustainability isn't a program and it's not a department. It needs to be integrated into our culture. So when we first started working on Vision 2025, we worked with the futurists who, if you remember, they worked and looked at all the global trends that were going to affect Freeman. And they identified as sustaining the environment as one of those trends that really should inform our strategy going forward. And the executive committee, as we were forming the Vision 2025, We agreed that it was important, but we sort of said, yeah, but we've got the green programs and strategies in place. And frankly, we sort of let it slide to the back burner. Now, I was part of those discussions, so I promise you I'm not pointing fingers, or I've got 8 fingers pointing at myself when I say that we need to step up our game. But rather what I'm saying is that we need to point to a strategic direction that we would like everyone here to adopt. That we really need to start thinking about that triple bottom line impact and how we can make that an inherent part of how we work, how we operate, just like people and profit are in our nomenclature today. So perhaps I'm asking you to recalibrate some of your assumptions here. Perhaps I'm asking you to rethink what some biases that you might have about sustainability. One of those biases might be that you think sustainability is going to be an added cost to our business, or it's a nice to have, it's not a must have. I am asking that we not get into a political debate about whether or not humans are contributing to global warming. Regardless of how you feel about that issue or any of these issues that we brought up, I think we can all agree, as David said, we need to just simply be better stewards of the earth. That we can do a much better job of ensuring that we are not inappropriately depleting these natural resources that we've been given, and we should not win at the environment's expense. So Albert spoke this morning about reducing waste. And reducing waste can be anything: time, talent, money, opportunities, or materials. So we don't want to be wasteful. We need to take a very holistic approach to becoming a sustainable company at all of our levels. And that really includes everyone in this room, everyone who's watching virtually, every discipline and every business sector. Because when you think about it, sustainability is the exact point of strengthening the core, right? It's about reducing waste. It's about becoming more efficient. It's about making the most out of our natural resources and all these resources that we need for our projects. It's getting rid of all these points of pain that we feel in the organization. You heard a little bit about that today, and we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. It's about getting rid of all these roadblocks that seem to be in our way of doing our best work. So when we view the business through this lens of sustainability, we have this opportunity to really foster a culture of innovation, and it helps us to seek out ways to eliminate waste. Bruce reminds us that design thinkers naturally have this lens. And in his mind, as Joe pointed out, one of those mind-blowing, if you don't design a solution, it's bad design. Well, wastefulness is the equivalent of bad design. And our learning cycle is so beautiful because it's really a sustainability methodology. It really helps us to drive waste out of the entire process. It causes us to act with intent, to consider how we use our resources, human resources and physical resources, before we waste them. Those of you in the room who are champions of our operational excellence, you see the world this way. You continually seek to streamline our operations and help make things more efficient to get cost out of the business. So we in that regard, embrace sustainability because we hate waste. So my point is that this really isn't all new ground. It's just simply a new way of looking at the Freeman way of producing events. It's a worldview that says waste is not only bad, it's silly, it's stupid, it's poor planning, and it really reflects badly on us. Now, conversely, the spirit of sustainability implies that we actually can innovate quickly and we can see new solutions and we can act on those. So you may or may not worry about the impact that we have on the planet, but the next generation certainly does. And this really reflects on us as a business overall. We must hold ourselves accountable in this area because the alternative is that somebody else is going to do it. Now, if you think about those brands that have taken huge hits to their lack of responsibility, Nike with their leveraging child labor, and then of course the oil spills with ExxonMobil and BP, Volkswagen for cheating on diesel emissions, that people bought those cars because they thought they were good for the environment and then they found out they were cheating. We don't want that to happen to Freeman. And you think, oh, that could never happen. Well, let's think about that. Do you want to be on the show that gets called out for the amount of materials that we're still putting into landfills at the close of an event? It's not a pretty picture. We know what an event looks like when it's over. And that is something that we don't need to have broadcast out to the entire world. So this is also a competitive issue. Other companies, our competitors, are seeking ways to try to compete against us. They're already waking up to this notion that they can compete against us effectively. But the cool thing about it is, given our scope, if we make up our minds to truly go after this, nobody can touch us. So we can simply convert our sustainability record into yet another incredible differentiating brand benefit. So in my view, and I think in the view of many of us here, this is something that we just simply can't afford not to do. So, and it's so much more about just reducing waste. It's also about optimizing opportunities. And when organizations are really prioritizing the health of the planet, everybody is benefiting. And frankly, as David talked about, we were really kind of in the reduce, recycle, reuse timeframe. Well, a group of us had the opportunity to travel to Copenhagen to learn how other organizations are really approaching sustainability at its core. We were introduced to brilliant minds by, of course, Bruce, who had been working with them on sustainability. And we met just an example of where innovation can happen. We met this architect, and his assignment was to build a building, and it had to be done completely out of recycled materials. So as he started down this path, he realized that he needed new ways of doing some of the work that typically goes into construction. So he invented a whole new way of making concrete from demolished old buildings. And then he turned that into a profitable business. And then he was looking at glass, and he was looking at windows. And then he couldn't find somebody else who had recycled windows, so he said, well, I'm going to create a new company that figures out how to create glass out of all these recycled windows. And he created yet another profitable business. So in other words, for this one project he had, he created all of these other opportunities because he went down a path that others hadn't gone back. So, environmental sustainability really doesn't have to cost us more. It really is just not about saving dumpster fees. It's causing us to look at the world through a lens of sustainability so that we see opportunities that we might not have seen in the past. We really do believe that this could be an incredible catalyst for innovation that could bring transformative change. So, we have to ask ourselves, what opportunities are we missing? If we made it a habit to look at the world through this sustainability lens, what discoveries might we make? How would Vision 2025 look if we took a different lens and we added the sustainability to our strategy? Now, it doesn't change our strategy, not at all. But it's clear that we have an opportunity to put that lens against all of our value creators and actions that are implicit in our Action 2025 plans so that we can amplify the work that we're already doing. Now, this approach to sustainability, the Executive Committee has already committed to, that we're going to start integrating sustainability into our culture. In fact, we've already added text to our manifesto that says that we're going to do it. We are committed to sustaining our people, our planet, and our profitability. And so I'm asking that you join our commitment to a positive environmental legacy, one that will allow our business to flourish and allow our people to flourish. We really want to commit to optimizing and inspiring and being able to optimize all these resources that we have that we may habitually waste. And again, it's not just materials, it's time and talent and resources. We want to start measuring and improving our ecological impact. When we start considering the promises that are implicit in our stated purpose of connecting people in meaningful ways and our values and our Vision 2025 roadmap, this is simply the right thing to do. And we really are privileged to have this opportunity because we can make such a tremendous impact. So I hope that you'll join me in adopting this perspective and elevating your personal efforts and the efforts of your team going forward with these sustainable solutions.